Welcome back to another Tech Junkie video. Today we've got an iPhone 11 Pro Max that a customer brought in for repair that had been hit by a car. It looks like the screen is the only thing damaged, so we're going to open this thing up and see if we can get it back to working properly. We're going to start with putting it on the heat mat for 5 minutes at 75 degrees Celsius. Then we'll use a penelope screwdriver to pull the two bottom screws out. Once we get the two screws out, we can use a nylon spudger and a flat X-Acto knife blade to pry up on the screen a little bit and cut the adhesive away very gently without going in too far. Once we get the screen open, we can begin the process of disconnecting both battery connectors. Now, this iPhone 11 Pro Max is the first generation to feature two different battery connectors. The first battery connector is near the LCD connectors. It has two tri-wing screws, and then that second battery connector is down near the charge port. It's held down with four tri-wing screws. Make sure you disconnect both batteries so that you don't take any risks at shorting anything out on your board trying to do a simple screen repair. So once you get the top two tri-wing screws and the four tri-wing screws down at the bottom, you can move on to your LCD connector bracket. The LCD connector bracket is held down by 6 tri-wing screws. So once you get here and remove all 6 tri-wing screws, you can disconnect both LCD connectors and the ear speaker and Face ID assembly connector. Once your screen is pried away from the body of the phone, you can start the process of transferring your ear speaker and Face ID sensor away from the first screen and transfer it over to the second screen. You want to be careful here, and you can use a little bit of heat to pry this sensor assembly up, because if you rip any of those cables, you will permanently damage Face ID. So be careful here. Once you have that assembly pulled away from the old screen, you can put it down in place on the new screen and replace the 3 screws on the new screen. There are 3 screws here. 2 are Phillips head screws. 1 is a tri-wing screw. That's what Apple does with their phones. I don't know why they use different screws of shapes and sizes, probably to make it harder to repair. But now our new screen is reassembled and ready to reconnect back to the phone itself. Make sure you have your connectors ready. Plug each connector in where it goes on the board. Be careful here and make sure you check for that little click, that satisfying click when you connect it to the board. If you don't get that click, chances are you did not completely connect your screen the way it's supposed to be. You can have ghosting, you can have no picture, you can have no Face ID, you can have no ear speaker function. There's a lot of things that can go wrong if you don't connect your connectors properly. Once you have your connectors in place, you reseat the shield that covers your connectors and put the 6 tri-wing screws back in place. Once you have that back in place, you can go back with the process of reconnecting your battery. You have 2 tri-wing screws to put in at the top connector, and then 4 at the bottom on the bottom connector. Once all 6 of your tri-wing screws on your battery connectors are back in place, that's essentially the end of the repair. You want to turn your phone on, make sure you have all the touch function that you need, and then you just close it back up like a book. Make sure all your teeth along the top and both sides are in place. Once everything is snapped shut and your phone is working properly, you put the 2 penelope screws back in the bottom and you're done. That's essentially it for an iPhone 11 Pro Max. One thing I noticed with the iPhone X, the XR, the XS, all of the 11 models, and they continued it on with the 12 models, is these phones are extremely easy to repair. Now that you don't have to transfer shields for the screen, you don't have to transfer a home button. The only thing you have to transfer now is that Face ID assembly, and that's about it. It's fairly simple. You do want to take your time though. You don't want to damage Face ID on one of these devices. That is a key selling point, and we're finished here. Thanks for watching, guys. Make sure you hit that like button, drop a comment down below and tell us how you enjoyed the video. Subscribe to the channel and keep checking back for more content.